Chapter 4, Lesson 2. Your objective for today, I will be able to compare and order rational numbers. Again, that's Chapter 4, Lesson 2. I will be able to compare and order rational numbers. At the top, Part 1, compare rational numbers. Please fill in the blanks with me as we go through them. A least common multiple is a common multiple of the denominators of two or more fractions. The least common denominator or LCD is the LCM, or least common multiple of the denominators. You can use the least common denominator to compare fractions. You can also use a number line. And today, for the most part, we're also going to talk about using our calculators. Again, a calculator is a tool that we can help us get through math that we've already learned and done in the past. Letter A, our first problem. Fill in that open circle with less than, greater than, or equal to make each sentence true. Now, just doing this or just doing this is not an answer. There's no work shown, there's no thought. It would only take you a moment. You have to show your work. So I need some work shown to be able to judge if you did this correctly or not. So the first thing that I would recommend is if we think about a number line, and on that number line we place 0, -1, and -2, where would these numbers fall? Well, -1 and 5/6, that is almost -2, so it would be somewhere around here. -1 and 1/6 is just a little bit past -1, so it would be around there. So by just looking at those, which one of those is closer to 0? -1 and 1/6. Therefore, that one is greater than -1 and 5/6. So that's one way to think through the problem. Another way for us to do this same problem is to use our calculator. Both of these problems are -1, so I'm going to start by writing -1. The empty circle, because I don't know which one's bigger yet. The second one is -1. Both of them are decimals because they have fractions. Now take out your calculator and turn it on. Clear off your screen. And in your calculator, I want you to type in what is 5 divided by 6. You should get 0.83. So if you add that with your -1, you should get -1.83. And on your calculator again, that 3 is repeating. So check that. Everyone's calculator should be out, and you should be doing this. Then we need to try -1 and 1/6. So in my calculator, I'm going to type in 1 divided by 6. Once you have that, you're going to add that to -1. You should get -1 and 1.6 repeating. Now, negative numbers work in backwards from positive numbers. The ones that appear to be larger are actually smaller. So now I have two numbers, -1.8333 and -1.16. This one is still greater than -1.83 repeating. And now I've showed my work two ways. For this lesson, you can pick, but I need to see work. I think the easiest one would be convert both fractions or both numbers to decimals. I think that is the easiest way. Letter B. -5 and 5/9, -5 and 1/9. Just knowing the answer is called a guess, and that's not enough. You need to prove it. You need to show work. So I'm going to start the same way. They both have a negative 5. There's both a fraction afterwards, so we need a decimal. And we don't know the symbol that goes in between. So in your calculator, please type in 5 divided by 9, numerator divided by denominator. You should get 0.5 repeating. Clear your calculator, then type in 1 divided by 9. You should get 0.1 repeating. Since they're negative, the one that appears to be bigger is actually smaller. So our symbol should be negative 5.5 is less than negative 5.1. Letter C, there is no mixed number, or there's no whole number, so both of these are decimals. So I don't know the two decimals, I don't know the symbol. So again, calculator, we're going to do 7 divided by 12 is 0.583 repeating, and 8 divided by 18 is 0.4 repeating. Now since they're both positive, I just need to say, okay, what number is bigger? Well, this one has a 5 in the tenths place, this is a 4. 5 is definitely bigger. So my answer is 0.583 repeating is greater than 0.4 repeating. Okay, I want you to take the next few minutes and try D, E, and F all on your own. You should need to talk and discuss this, just do it on your own. Show your work, use your calculator, numerator divided by denominator, and fill in the sign greater than, less than, or equal to. Please pause the video, and when you're ready to check the answers, press play, and they'll come up on the video. Letter D, you should have 0.83 repeating is greater than 0.7 repeating. Letter E, 1/5 is the same as 0.2. If you have a decimal, you remember you can always add zeros to the right of your number. So for me, it's a little bit easier to see 0.02 is greater than 0.14. It's a little bit easier, but you don't have to do that. And letter F, we're negatives again, so we have to rethink. Numbers further from 0 are smaller, so negative 0.7 is definitely smaller than negative 0.5625. We have a few word problems. Letter G, in Mr. Hong's class, 20% of the students own roller shoes. In Mrs. Trevino's class, 5 out of 29 students own roller shoes. In which class does a greater fraction of students own roller shoes? So we need to think back to a lot of our older skills. We need to find out 20%, is that greater or less than 5 out of 29? So this time our problem would be, is 20%, circle, I don't know which one's bigger, 5 out of 29. So we need to do the same thing. We need to make both of these decimals. 5 out of 29, I'm going to do in my calculator, because that one I'm kind of used to, that's what we've been doing. So I don't know this difference between them yet. We should get a long decimal, 0.1724, and I'm just going to go dot, 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 that ellipsis symbol, that means we go on forever. And repeating, well, it's not repeating, but it's a decimal that goes on. And then 20%. Well, the last couple years we've been working with percents. In order to change a percent to a decimal, choice 1, we can divide by 100, or we can move the decimal over 2 swoops to the left, and we get 0.20. And our question is, in which class does a greater fraction of students own roller shoes? Well, 0.2 is definitely greater than 0.1724. So our answer would be Mr. Hong's class. Letter H. In a second period class, 37.5% of students like to bowl. In fifth period class, 12 out of 29 students like to bowl. In which class does a greater fraction of the students like to bowl? Please try this one on your own. pause the video, and when you're ready to check your answers, press play again. For letter H, you should get 0.375 is less than 0.4137. When you're finished, please flip this over, and we'll start the back. Part 2, order rational numbers. Change the numbers to one format of your choice. So for all of these problems, if you have multiple numbers, you need to make them all look similar. So make them all fractions, all decimals, or all percents. Then compare them. The directions are: order the following sets of numbers from least to greatest, and caution, always rewrite the answer in the original form that the number was given. Otherwise, it will not be right. So letter A, I'm first going to decide, do I want everything a fraction, a decimal, or a percent? On the front, we practice lots of decimals. I think that's easier. You have a calculator, use it. So I'm going to rewrite these 4 numbers to all be decimals. And I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to be neat. I'm going to keep them in order, because at the end, your answer needs to be expressed in the form it was given. So your answer should be written to look like these numbers. Not all decimals, because that's not the form that they were given. So 23% means I move the decimal 2 places to the left, or divide by 100. You get 0.23. The next one is already a decimal, so I don't have to do anything. The next 2 are fractions. To change fractions to decimals, we divide numerator by denominator. So 1 divided by 4 is 0.25, and 1 divided by 5 is 0.20. Okay, now see how I wrote them exactly in order right below their original form. And again, that is because your answer has to be in the original format of the number. So I need to put these least to greatest. So of these 4 numbers, I'm now maybe going to take out a different pencil, colored pencil, pen or something, and write which one is the smallest and put a number 1 by it because it's the least. So 0.2, 0.25, 0.21, 0.23. The smallest of those, and maybe I think of them as money, is 20 cents. So that's going to be my number 1. The next one would be 21 cents, 23 cents, 25 cents. So now my answer, order these from least to greatest in the format that they're given. So number 1 was 0.20, but that was not given to me in my problem, so I must put the number that represents 0.20, 1/5. 0.21, 23%, and the last one is 1/4. Now all my numbers are given in the format in which I was given to them, so I'm finished. Please try B, C, and D on your own. You should have lots of work shown. It should be organized and neat so you can follow your steps. When you're ready to check the answer, you're going to press play on the video again. So this time, please pause the video and work on the next 3 on your own. Please take some time and check your answers. I kept following the same pattern, same routine. I made everything a decimal, then put them in order from least to greatest, and added my brackets on the end for my answer. Now, if you wanted to make them all fractions or percents, you can. Your work will be a little bit different, but all 4 of your answers should be exactly like mine because all of them are written in the exact form that the numbers were given to you. So take a couple minutes, look these over. If you need to pause the video, do that. If you need to discuss anything or ask any questions, please do that now also. When you're finished, we're going to move to letter E, our last problem for the notes. Letter E. Nolan is the quarterback on a football team. He completed 67% of his passes in the first game. He completed 0.64, 3/5, and 69% of his passes in his next 3 games. List Nolan's completed passing numbers from least to greatest. So we're going to do these least to greatest. So I'm going to start by rewriting the problems, the fractions, decimals, percents, as I got them. So the first one I read was 67%, then 0.64, then 3/5. The last one is 69%. I'm again going to decide, okay, did I like decimals, fractions, or percents? And we're going to use those. So I liked using decimals, so I'm going to move the percents over twice to the left. So 0.69, 0.67, 0.64 is already a decimal. So then in my calculator, I'm going to divide 3 divided by 5, numerator divided by denominator, which would be 0.60. And I am least to greatest, so I'm going to get out another color and I'm going to write the smallest and count on up. So the lowest, again, I'm going to use money. 60 cents is the lowest, then 64 is a little bit more, 67 is a little more, and 69 cents is the greatest. Now I'm going to write my answer in the bracket notation, and I'm going to put them in order from least to greatest, so with my red numbers, but in the original format. So I'm going to go back to the word problem and use that format of the numbers. So 0.60 was really 3/5. Number 2 was 0.64, and that was what I was given to as a decimal. Then 0.67, but that was 67%. Then 0.69, but that was 69%. Adding those in as well. If you have any questions, please discuss them now. If not, the rest of your class time is to start your homework. Make sure you are showing for everything. Make sure you're reading the directions. Should I order them from least to greatest or greatest to least? Be careful with your negatives. Make sure your answer is in the original format of the numbers given to you.